Wow. And I have to say, wow. We got booted by YouTube. Well, I guess we couldn't do Lil Yachty and Umar, but so let's just come up with the next best thing, and we'll just do the second interview. Well, it's not the second. Well, the second interview, but the third phase of Umar and of course Nick Cannon. But before that, uh, thank you for sticking by. Yo, let's get into it. Not wasting any time. I can't believe we got booted off.
Responsibility
Fair use, people.
of our own, taking accountability for what is done and what we have done. We can place blame on the systemic issues. We can place blame on, you know, we're playing the cards that we are dealt. But as we know, as a people, we have to take care of our own. We have to be responsible for our own. And there's a lot of conversation.
And by the way, I will be pausing through certain things, so just relax. We got all night.
That's going on. And I feel like this is where you and I, there might be a little bit of discourse.
No problem.
But there's a lot going on online. Everybody got a podcast.
True.
I've seen you on me.
Yes.
And things go viral. There's a lot of conversation out there, and a lot of it is clickbait, and a lot of it really is to the novice can be somewhat confusing.
I agree.
Just because somebody said it on TikTok, now they feel like they got a degree in something.
Yes.
Just because they saw, because it had 10 million views, therefore it made it factual. And there's topics specifically in our community that I feel like, are distractions. Because what we touched on earlier, those are the issues.
Yes.
That's we hit on the root of what we can do.
I hope so too, because obviously they, meaning YouTube, didn't want us to come out with the truth. So, and plus it's Lil Yachty. I don't even know why. I mean, it's just like the Breakfast Club. They just put a clamp on certain things. I don't know why. It's not our shit. So I'm gonna try my best here. We call it a night, whatever, and I'll get back with y'all next week. But thanks for sticking around.
To fix our community.
Yes.
But we get caught up in a lot of these conversations, specifically online, about things, in my opinion, that honestly don't matter. I try to operate on a higher frequency. I try to see things for what they are, but also if it's noise, not really pay attention to it. And we get, as a people, and you talked about this a little earlier about being on our devices and things like that. We get so caught up in noise that we don't educate ourselves properly.
I agree.
And I want to touch on that. And it's really is about responsible voices as leaders, responsible voices as, men and women in this community. You're a leader. You're a strong voice that people look to.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? Even at times may be controversial, but if anything, one thing you can't deny is that you're educated, you're wise, you carry yourself in a manner that demands respect.
Yes, sir.
And we don't often see that in our Black men, specifically in media. You know what I mean? As we know, there's buffoonery. There's a lot of things where, we doing it for the bag.
Yep.
There's a lot of imagery. There's a lot of things that, we've all participated in that other cultures don't.
That's correct.
And like I said, accountability and responsibility. I'm guilty. I said at times to, I like to have a good time. I like to entertain. I like to joke. I like to wild out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But if we're talking about, is it food for our community? It's junk food at times. but I feel like there's equanimity that needs to take place.
I want to say real quick about our brother and Nick Cannon. I believe it is apropos for Nick Cannon to, if he wants, just as Umar or anybody in the community does, wants to be a stronger, wants the community to be a stronger nation, I guess he's going to have to separate himself from, I guess, the Jewish community. I don't know if there are black Jews or not, to be perfectly honest with you. I've never heard of it. But need it as it may, I think it's time for a complete separation, as Malcolm once stated, from the black race to the white race. But we are so clamped and caught up in the rainbow, the real Rainbow Coalition, not the Rainbow Coalition of today's, but the Rainbow Coalition of wonder years, from where the Black Panthers teamed up with, some of the Europeans and some of the Hispanics, and they were going to form their own coup. If you don't believe me, you can look that up. And somehow, some way, is the FBI had something to say about that. But I can see the brother Nick Cannon getting into some real black power shit, if in my opinion. But he's going to have to separate himself from Hollywood, and that's kind of difficult to do when you have like 12 kids.
Balance.
I agree.
We can't be serious all the time. I can't have my fist in the air all the time.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes we want to have a good time, but it's how we have a good time.
Yes, sir.
So I want to unpack all of that. I want to unpack everything from the conversation about, things that people, our community has a strong sense of the Illuminati.
Yes. Yes.
And in my honest opinion, I believe the Illuminati, that term, that idealism, that idea infrastructure is lazy. That's, people can place that label and haven't really done the research, because they're not far off.
Okay.
Systemic issues,
yes,
and things to keep our community down. A lot of stuff that you touched on earlier, but they just quick the label with the Illuminati.
Yes.
And that there's these secret magical powers going on to keep the black man down, opposed to the infrastructure that we can actually tear down and get rid of. So I want to break that, go from there all the way to the conversation of, our black male entertainers and dresses.
Yes.
Yes. That's a hot topic right now. Cat Williams then brought that up.
Yes. Yes. I saw.
And many others. And, we can even start there if we want to, because I feel like that's a good place to kind of start from, and then we could kind of take it up the mountain. But things like that, to me, I just heard my brother Marlon Wayne say, he doesn't. It's a foolish conversation, and if we want to tap into our biblical knowledge, I believe it's even 2 Timothy 2:23 says, at all costs avoid foolish and ignorant conversations, because it only creates quarrels and strife. You know what I'm saying? So in that, I tend to stay away from those conversations, but I do understand the purpose of, like, all right, let's clear this up. So when we have these conversations, we know what's really, saving our black boys from the school to prison pipeline is a real conversation.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Entertainers and dresses. How real is that?
I think it's real. And the reason I think it's real, Brother Nick, symbols are very important. Our brains are conditioned by what they see and what they hear.
Okay.
The eyes are extremely powerful. On top of that, subliminal suggestion,
subconscious,
absolutely, is a very powerful way to condition people.
It's been proven.
If nothing else, major black celebrities wearing dresses is sending a message to black boys that blurring the line between masculinity and femininity may not necessarily be a bad thing. And for us as African people, that can be quite problematic for one very important reason, although there are others. Only 1 out of every 4 Black women gets married in this country. So then, I have a 12-year-old daughter. I have a 21-year-old daughter. One day, I hope for them to be married.
Right.
If Black men who Black boys look up to are putting dresses on, they are sowing a thought into Black boys' minds about possibly entertaining the idea of dressing the same way.
Real quick, I want to go back to the point where he stated that 1 out of, let's just say 1 out of 3 men get married. I'm just paraphrasing. The reason why the reason why people are afraid to get married is because of a couple things. Number one, they're afraid of rejection. Men are afraid of getting rejected. Men are afraid of, it not being what they think a relationship should be. For example, for primary example, some would always say, if you're not in the kitchen cooking is your responsibility. If you're not taking care of if you're not taking care of your home, some people are comfortable with that. They just, some men want it all. And then there are other men who are not so afraid of rejection, but they're also afraid of I don't know. It's a variety of shit. None of it makes any sense to me. But the community that I live in, almost everybody is married or has a boyfriend and girlfriend a thing going on, and it's no fight. I mean, there are the exception of I would say the majority that get divorced and they break up, but more so, I mean, that's life. That's life. I'm not coming up to a woman, and if I'm a single person, I'm not coming up to a woman with the implication of getting rejected. I mean, if you get rejected, you get rejected. Move on to the next person. But I have to have that much faith and that much confidence that she's going to like what I present. And if she does, it can turn into a healthy conversation. And then it will be both of yours decision whether you want to continue as being friends or you want to take it to the next level. I mean, it should be that way.
Okay. That can lead to a whole bunch of other outcomes that we don't necessarily have to discuss.
Right.
But
I wanted to discuss.
Okay. But the issue, though, that remains is it is a gateway to transforming culture because you are an icon. A celebrity role model for fatherless males. And if they have been following your masculinity, if you now decide to lead them into an era of femininity, they may follow you there also.
So my question, or may I offer this up? As we know, the masculine and the feminine aren't necessarily designated for male or female.
Okay.
You can have masculine energy, you can have feminine energy. One who is confident in their masculine has no problem understanding and walking in the vulnerability of their femininity.
I agree.
Now, as a person who is so masculine,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's proven.
Yes, sir.
Proven in my offspring and my actions.
Yes, sir.
I'm very comfortable around anyone and willing to entertain my femininity
right
to a place where it's safe for me. I have understanding of, you know, I have many friends and family members of the LGBTQIA community, and respect them, love them at a great deal. And it's just, therefore, I'm not a part of that community, but
yes, sir.
I feel like I'm an advocate for that community because I believe, you know, they have the right and to be who and operate the way in which they wish. It's the beauty of living in America. And I'll offer this up as well. As a young man in entertainment, I'm guilty. In my Nickelodeon days, I was in a dress, doing the stereotypical ghetto girl.
Well, you child or an adult at that time?
I was 18. I was, you know, I
might have given you a pass for that because of the age.
Yeah. But again, in that sense, and probably the only reason why I did it and was very comfortable doing it, because I was a fan of brothers that I look up to still to this day, the Jamie Foxxes of the world who did Wanda, the Martins of the world who did Shanae, all the way back to the people that I revere, like the Flip Wilson, who did Geraldine. You know what I mean? And, Eddie Murphy, who, you know, the Clumps. So I was at that age comfortable. Was saying, oh, this is just, I'll take this off and go jump in my Range Rover and go holler at the chicks, and you know, like no problem with that. That was entertainment. I was acting. I was having fun. I was being silly. And in my mind, not thinking that this is an influence on others, not thinking that this is a gateway to, you know, all the things that you explained. But as I sit here today, I probably, like, if you ask me to put on, I mean, obviously I'm in a different state of my life. There's no money that you could pay me right now to put on a dress. And that's, you know, a lot of that.
That's the problem with a lot of these people. I didn't know it was a problem. You know what I'm saying? Until a lot of people were putting on dresses. I didn't know it was a problem because I just saw it as a form of entertainment. Just like Martin, Jamie, ain't nobody taking Jamie Foxx seriously, right? Wearing no damn dress. But then I seen a picture of Tu Wong Fu with Wesley Snipes, Patrick Swayze, and John Leguizamo, and I go, okay, this is a bit much. I mean, 2-3 grown men. I mean, but then Tyler Perry came along, and that was his bread and butter to, you know, being successful, I guess. But I could never do that shit. And that's why, you know, Eddie Griffin's one of my biggest comics that I follow for the past 13 years. I mean, the nigga said it ain't no success in wearing a fucking dress, and I believed it. I was like, nigga, what was the purpose? If you wear the dress, or you got the keys to the kingdom or some shit. White folks don't care about that. White folks want to humiliate you. It's bad enough you would consider a monkey a boy, a non-human being. They want to put you in a freaking dress.
That comes with the word integrity.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And not that I didn't have integrity then. There's probably some understanding that I didn't have about what integrity is, and what I stand for as a man today. And you know, it's just there's a lot of things that I did and would have done at 19 for money. That now that I got all the money that I've ever need today, there's you can't even start those conversations.
Understood.
Because I've been blessed to be in a position where now I am my own employer. I am a boss. I am in a sense to where, so there's just certain conversations that I just wouldn't entertain.
Absolutely.
But at the time, I understand to where it's like, you know, we've even heard some of our entertainers in their earlier years, I do this for $1 million.
Yes.
But now they got hundreds of millions of dollars. There's no way in the world. But now that we have, because even I want to tap into this, and I'll circle it all the way back, is, you know, to me, what selling your soul is, because we hear that quite a bit, and that's all that gets associated with the Illuminati and all this kind of thing. Really, that all that is compromising your integrity. And when you break it down to that sense, it's like, what do you stand for, and what can, if you do stand for something, how much do I have to pay you to get that out the way? So that, to me, is the reason why I would no longer put on a dress.
Okay.
But I don't ridicule or even look down upon some of our brothers who do, because again, I don't know how deep it goes. I mean, I understand the subconscious, but as an individual gets a script and an opportunity or something, and they want, and they're there to make a joke, they're there to be funny. Putting on a costume is one thinking, oh man, I'm selling my soul, or I'm even compromising my integrity. Where if my integrity is always in a place of openness and understanding, then I'm not really compromising my integrity. I'm just having fun. I'm going to even your point, what you're saying, I'm understanding the femininity. I'm understanding that I'm strong in my masculine. So if I can play in my feminine, and it has nothing to do with my sexual preference or any of these ideas, it's just, I'm entertaining. I'm putting forth something to make other people smile and take their mind off the woes of the world to crack a joke. I don't see the issue. Now, like I said, my personal preference today, sitting here as a man who's made hundreds of millions of dollars, and feels like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm also not gonna get out there on a hoverboard or a skateboard and make myself fall for it. But you know, at 19, I did it. You know what I mean? I was doing all type of wild stuff. But as right now, no. So again, to the brothers who have done it, my hat's off to you, no judgment to you. But I ask you, again, I was long-winded, but sitting on this couch talking to a professional, did I go wrong? Did I do something wrong by wearing a dress in my younger years?
I want to quote one of our elder grandmaster teachers, Professor James Small.
Yes.
He said, in response to a question about movies, media, and entertainment, he said,
shouts out to Professor James Small,
all content has intent. When you sit down and watch an hour and 45-minute long movie, and you know this better than most, being the successful actor you are, everything that you saw on that final cut, from the color to the background objects, to the pictures, to the clothing, to the conversation, to the symbolism, everything had a purpose in communicating the overall message of that movie.
Yes.
So if we will admit that entertainment is a weapon of indoctrination, in an age where we see a war against not only the life of Black men, but the survival of Black masculinity, how can a Black man putting on a dress not be a problem?
I would bring it back to everything that I just said. What is the issue? And again, because by that means you're telling me you have an issue with understanding the feminine within the Black man.
But I want us to make sure we draw a distinction between feminine energy and female sexuality. Because when you spoke earlier about being secure in your masculine and being able to entertain your feminine, I can respect that. But we're not talking about entertaining the feminine, because we all have that balance within us. But masculine and feminine energy is not the same as male sexuality and female sexuality. So for example, certain feminine trait, patience is a feminine trait. You see that. Tolerance is a feminine trait. So when Dr. Umar says, absolutely, I can step into my feminine to nurture my queen, nurture my children. I'm gonna step into my masculine to provide for my queen and protect my children. But when we talk about female sexuality
and the images,
absolutely, for children who consume more television per capita than any other ethnic group in America. So the messages you put in those movies are going to hit our children 50 times harder because they're more dependent on television than anyone else, and they're less likely to have a father at home, Nick. So you're talking about a black male role model who took me this far in my life as a masculine example, and now you're going to put this on, which is now going to force me as an...
Let me ask y'all a question. Have you ever been to a different country and you saw masculine men put on a dress? I've never heard it, never seen it. They countries over there, they don't play none of that shit. They don't play all that feminist stuff that, you know, most females put on the brothers. On top of that, you're going on acting feminine as a male. You're acting feminine and doing all that rah-rah stuff. They don't play that over there. In most of those countries over there, like parts of, most of China, Japan, Russia, parts of England, Switzerland, Jesus Christ, you will be shunned. You will be excluded. They don't even like black people over there in China to begin with. They gonna have y'all put on the dress over there. In America, they get away with too much stuff, in my opinion. Just way too much. I mean, we got a president right now, not mine, maybe y'all's, but not mine. They got a president right now, Joe Biden. They just don't care. They just sign anything. Let anybody in the country just sign this and sign that. We need protection. Okay, sign it. We need a protection for Asian people. Okay, we sign that. We need protection from we need protection for the LGBTQ community. Okay, we sign that. Well, with the help of Obama, of course. But has there been any type of protection for black people? I haven't seen it.
An innocent child to entertain all of what can come from putting on that dress.
So then what about the empathy for the community that, you know, because probably now more than ever. Before we saw, you know, Jamie as Wanda, and it was hilarious. You know what I mean? We saw Martin as Shanae, it was hilarious. We saw Eddie and the Clumps, hilarious. But the conversation about being transgender wasn't as loud.
Yes.
The conversation about the rights for the LGBTQ plus community wasn't as loud. You know, so now though that imagery actually stands for something more than just a laugh.
My point.
So, but in an empathetic form, we want, you know, our family and the transgender community to not be discriminated against.
I often ask people, how far are you willing to go in your relationship with, let's just say, for example, this white man? This white man, this European, will have you jump through so many hoops to get to the ultimate prize. And speaking of Martin and Jamie, I mean, everybody thought it was funny, including me. Everybody thought it was funny. But as you get older, you start to sit back and think, have these people sold out for chump change? And this is why I credit Ice Cube. Ice Cube has and will never sell out for bullshit like that. You know why the premier reason why he didn't come out with The Last Friday? Not only is it owned by Universal, but the premise of, well, it's not just about we lost John Witherspoon. Chris Tucker is here, you know, registered in Vegas, and he's corporate now. But it's the simple fact that it's about black men. It's basically about black men rise, fall, come together, tearing apart. It's all about black men. And what is in today's Hollywood? What is in today's Hollywood? The simple fact that today's Hollywood is nothing but a bunch of feminist shit. I mean, look at our comic books. Look at our comic book movie. I mean, you see the male hero, but it's more likely, it says nothing but it shows nothing but the female. Prime example, Hawkeye. I didn't see Hawkeye but at least a few minutes throughout the movie. And it just featured the girl. Everybody remembers He-Man. It was supposed to be all about He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, but it was about Teela. And thanks to Kevin's that snake Kevin Smith, which he was never a He-Man fan to begin with. He was the producer of that cartoon. Just completely killed the male image. And now this He-Man that's present right now, I haven't watched it yet. I'm afraid to. Because how the hell you going to kill off? You're going to kill off an immortal? How the fuck do you kill off an immortal? And have Teela and just promote Teela throughout the entire show. They're killing the image of the male, basically. Completely killing the image of the man. And this is primarily the reason why there's not going to be another Friday. Hopefully there will be, but he's going to have to go through some proper channels. And I don't think Tyler Perry is going to help him on this one, because clearly Tyler Perry has some issues of his own, but we won't get into that.
Be in a state, because we'll talk about this in a minute too, to be suicidal.
Yes.
Not to be in a state where they're looked down upon in society.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, it's the body of earthlings. We are all human beings. We're all one.
Okay.
So in that sense, as much as one child or one,
I almost forgot. Black Panther 2. Wakanda Forever. Now, I shedded tears when my man Chadwick Boseman passed away. May he rest in paradise. But just like Spider-Man, just like Superman, just like Batman, you could have changed it up. You could have had some other actor fill that role. I don't know the excuse. Maybe it was sacred, but I could have said, you know what? You could have brought Killmonger back to life and somehow had him switch roles to the point where, since my family, since I have been taught the lesson, I changed my ways or whatever, you know, T'Challa's gone. I'm gonna go ahead and fill that role. You said David Washington? David Washington as T'Challa? I don't know who David Washington. I had to look that up. Real quick.
Household may look down upon a black man in a dress. There's other households and communities that see that as liberating, to see that as a way to where, oh, I can breathe.
Okay.
Because if there's levity in what we can all laugh and enjoy, then maybe the severity of someone who is really dealing with those issues, then now there's an entry point for dialogue. There's an entry point for conversation, because as we know, as much as we talk about all black men, you know, putting on a dress for money, he's compromising his integrity. There's a deeper conversation to when we deal with real issues, as my friend and good brother Dwayne Wade has to deal with as a father, to where now he has a child who is a member of the transgender community, or the same way as, you know, my brother Marlon Wayans, you know, and his children. So now that conversation has layers to it. Because for one, I love Dwayne and his entire family. I love Marlon and his entire family. Anyone who, and based off of however someone identifies, I love your child. I love you. And sometimes these examples to where they once looked down upon, it's like, it's looked at as, okay, we can all have this conversation. We can all, I have no problem with my brother entertaining us in a dress. I have no problem with someone having a child from a transgender lifestyle or community or background. I want to say the correct thing to not offend anyone, but in that sense to where we're all experiencing things to where there is no cut and dry way to say this is right and this is wrong. So to me,
let me ask you a question, respectfully, to jump in.
Yeah.
Can ignorance ever be an excuse for irresponsibility? That's one question. My other one, can my humor be an excuse to engage in behavior that hurts the community?
I answer the second question first. Yes, that's a quick answer. Because that's what humor is for. That's what satire is for. I'm going to offer up ideas. I'm going to hold a mirror up to society and say it in a way that's light, that's creating levity, but it's usually extreme.
I've seen them in Ballers. Number one, and I'm saying this, possibly, maybe Wesley Snipes. Possibly. I said possibly. I didn't give it a definite yeah. I said possibly Denzel could have fit that role. But I'm thinking in a more of possibly Jonathan Majors. Possibly. Maybe. I mean, there's so the dude that played, I don't know if you've seen The Boys, but the dude that's playing A-Train right now, he could possibly fill that role as T'Challa's father. I could see that. I could definitely see that. But at any lengths, I mean, something could have had transpired that way. But then again, you're getting your ass kicked by Mexicans. You getting your asses handed to you. Umbuka is getting his ass kicked by Mexicans. God, that was it's an okay movie. I just hate it when the brother passed away.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So some of the best comedians and humor is going to offend. It's going to offend somebody at some point, whether it's a black joke, a white joke, a skinny joke, a fat joke, a joke about classism. Those are the ones like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. I can't believe she said that. Therefore, humor, most of the time, done correctly, is supposed to make you question.
So then I would challenge you with what happened to our brother Dave Chappelle.
100%.
When he was ridiculed by members of the LGBTQ for some stand-up. And there was another comedian whose name I'm forgetting about a year or two ago was also ridiculed by LGBTQ. I'm always stand on the side
of the comic because I have been canceled many times for jokes that I've said.
Right, but here's my point. If the transgender community can take issue with Dave Chappelle to the point where some of his shows were canceled because they felt that he used language that was offensive to their community,
right?
Should not the black community that has been suffering way longer and way harder than the transgender community, why do we not also have the right to say what is acceptable and what is not on the comedic stage?
Because we have levity, because we have understanding in a space, because our humor, to laugh at ourselves has been a sense of healing in many scenarios.
Okay.
If you look at from whether we go prior to Dick Gregory to all of our jokes initially started about, look how hard it is for us.
Okay.
But we still smiling, we still laughing. We going, we laugh to keep from crying. In that sense, that humor does heal, but in order for it to heal, it has to reveal. Again, it has to show you the pain and then say, all right, well, we're gonna show you how strong we are by laughing at it.
I agree. Now, what about when that humor is on display for our children who don't have the intelligence or experience to discern that this is purely being done for comedic purposes? When I go to a public school where the teacher is introducing me to some non-traditional forms of romance and lifestyle, and then I see a prominent black male athlete or entertainer putting on this dress, which is reinforcing a political message that was not laced in humor in the classroom.
Well,
in other words, I'm asking, can you see how that humor can be used
100%
to push certain agendas on innocent black children?
But as a father of many, I'm dealing with this every day. Not even just in that sense, but even because a lot of those jokes and things are about their dad. So I have to do my duty. I have to roll up my sleeves and work even harder as a father to be like, okay, there's a difference. This person was making a joke. This person was actually offended. This is how we deal with this. This is the issue at hand. This is your dad's beliefs. And everybody doesn't agree with him in this sense. So it starts at the home to where now it's my responsibility to say, okay, you heard this at school.
Yes.
Or someone said this, or you were scrolling online on YouTube and you saw this.
Yes.
So now let's sit down and have a conversation about it.
Now, your role as father, processing what they hear, and helping them to filter out the truth from the lies.
Right.
How important, what you just said, how important is that role as dad? How important do you judge that to be in protecting the innocence of your children? How important is that role as father?
Very.
Extremely, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so understanding that your children benefit from the fact that they have their black father at home.
Right.
Most of our children do not.
Right.
So what about the children, Nick, who don't have the filter of Nick Cannon coming home after work every day to interpret the reality that they experience at school and in the community?
Yes, and that brings me to that first question that you asked, because I feel like there's a lot to unpack there about, does ignorance give you the ability to be irresponsible?
Absolutely.
That's a weighted question because there's so many things we could be ignorant to.
True.
You know what I mean?
True.
In that sense, because a lot of times they say ignorance is bliss.
Yes.
And that kind of opens up the idea for, we're talking about just being culturally responsible for our voices, because we can sit here and offer up some real wisdom and cold hard facts that could shape.
Real quick, what can how far are you willing to go? That was my original question. How far is a black person, willing to go? And this is the reason why I respect Corey Holcomb so much. Because if you're willing to go as far as doing what Hollywood, corporate Hollywood tells you to do, then you are no good to the community. And you're actually no good to yourself. And I feel sorry for Dwayne Wade, but then again, you know, I can't. He has the weight on his shoulders, and it's all that masculine energy, I believe, has been taken away by his wife, Gabrielle. This is what I heard. I heard they're getting a divorce. This is what I heard. Please tell me if I'm wrong or if I'm right. To be perfectly honest with you, I wanted them to separate in the first place. And did you see? And are y'all starting to see Jimmy Butler for who he is now? That's crazy. Did anybody remember, if anybody's a Dallas Cowboy fan, how many people remember the dude Sam something? When he was drafted by the Cowboys, he was a defensive end. I mean, he only had one move to him. He didn't have a three-hand technique. He ain't had none of that. He was just a bull rusher. But I don't know how many people he touched in that locker room. But the boy just came out and said, "I am gay." I'm like, Jerry, how low can you go, bro? How low can you go? It's bad enough you can't. It's been 28 years and you haven't won a championship. You haven't even won a Super Bowl yet. Haven't even sniffed a Super Bowl. But you're gonna draft a weakling on top of that. Wow. So again, ask yourself this question: how far are you willing to go in life, and how far are you willing to go if you're in Hollywood? That is the question.
Shake up the world.
The reason I brought it up, Brother Nick, in life.
Yeah, Michael Sam.
Like you, I love all black people, whether they're gay, straight, transgender, whatever the case may be.
Right.
But my love leads me to a different type of an advocacy than, say, your love. Right? We both love them equally.
Right.
In your love, you say, because of my love, I'm going to advocate for their right to live their lives as free as they want.
Right.
In my love, because I'm fit to the community, I'm saying that if we don't put some checks and balances on these types of lifestyles, that can lead to a lot of black women having no husbands, that can lead to a lot of black children having no fathers, that can lead to a lot of brothers who engage in risky behavior ended up losing their lives due to health issues.
Right.
We got the same love,
right, but
they lead us to two different places. And one of the issues I have when we have these conversations is it always seems like, not with you, but in the general community, that there's certain groups who benefit from qualified protectionism. So, for example, the LGBT community, they benefit from qualified protectionism. So even if you're making jokes about them for the purposes of comedy and humor, which historically has been accepted, you can be held accountable, and your career can be damaged because of it. 100%. On the flip side, if we take a look at those who belong to the European Jewish community.
Right.
They do not tolerate jokes about their culture in the way in which African Americans are sometimes expected to do.
Right.
So all I'm saying is some groups are given that qualified protectionism when I think all groups should. And it's
what about Michael John White? This is area. When I was younger, I like that. Aries Bighorn. What about Michael John White? I'm lost. Can you reel me back? Reel me back real quick.
Especially us.
I believe we have, though.
You think we have qualified protectionism in 100%. What area?
Michael Richards.
Who's Michael Richards?
Exactly. But I mean, when my man Frazier went off at the comedy store saying all kinds, said nigga, I don't know how many times, and you know, in a rant.
Okay.
Al Sharpton and Paul Mooney, you know what I mean? They was on call, and I mean we don't really hear from Michael Richards anymore from that sense, because that you know that was a while ago, but I use that as an example because I do see he was doing comedy. Okay. He was someone who was famous on biggest, you know, Seinfeld, biggest television show before, you know, that we know today, and the community at that time came out and said we will not tolerate this. And I use that as an example because the power of the N-word, we control that. Now
we did. I would say that we did.
I still think we do. If there's not a white person that can come out here and say nigga and not see no, and we gonna be on their head.
I don't know about that. I think, and to our own detriment, I think we have normalized that word to the point. Musically, which means culturally.
Right.
You see?
I think we let them get away with it past if they, you know, if they singing along at the concert and they say nigga, and we might, you know, Doja Cat might stop the show. But if a person is sitting on a platform like this and saying, and even if it's a joke, I can't stand niggas, that person, it's a rap.
Okay. But they used it in a deliberately offensive manner.
Right.
I'm bringing this up, Nick, because I regularly get text messages from school-age children, their parents, and college students who will send me video clips of white people using the N-word openly and repeatedly in front of black folks without no discretion. Yes.
You ain't no fist thrown afterwards.
Because what I'm seeing, and I'm going to give some of this blame to the hip hop community,
right?
Because I've seen hip hop artists defend, and I've seen non-hip hop artists. So not only them, I've seen black people defend white people's or non-African people's usage of the N-word.
Well, this is where we have to.
And let me say this before you respond to that. I have a big problem with it, Nick, because no word in human history has been used so definitively and intently to disgrace and dehumanize an entire population like that N-word. And then, stay with me, Nick, I've seen white women come and try to argue that calling me Karen is equal to calling you the N-word.
We're not gonna entertain that. That's silly.
I've had white women come and say calling me the snow bunny is equivalent to calling you the N-word. No, it's not.
That's ridiculous.
And let me finish with this one line. And the reason it's not, or one of the reasons, is the N-word was codified structurally by the U.S. government to dehumanize African people. Snow bunny, Karen, or any other word was never codified and backed up with the power of an entire government to dehumanize the people.
Now, let me offer this up. And obviously, you know, we know this is going to go viral. We know this is going to create a conversation. But let's call it for what it is. Mm-hmm. I don't even respect the whole term, the N-word. Because first of all, if we're going to say it, let's just say it. But secondly, it should, if you're going to say it, it's in words. And what we have to offer up, and we got to be real because you're an orator, you're a linguist.
Hold on. This is what I have an issue with. This is what I have a real big problem with, because why is it that we have completely lost our way? Why? because you have white friends, because you have, you know, Asian friends, you have a whole bunch, you a whole coalition, you a whole colored coalition. But knowing that the things that you have learned throughout the years, and I'm talking about mostly it's some of my generation, because I'm Generation X. I'm talking about the millennium. I am that close. I am that close from being a millennial myself because I was 1980. But it's mostly these millennials that let most of these muffs get away with that shit. I remember there was a time where even if you had a white friend and he said that word because he was comfortable with you, he was playing your rap music, he had his Yankees cap all the way to the back, flipping it and all that yo-yo type of book. It went from yo-yo to speed rapping. Eminem. Y'all love that boy Eminem. Y'all love that boy to the fifth power, I'll tell you. He's a millennial. He's a millennial. He's not a Gen Xer. But there was a time when you could really smack him upside his head. Yep, he's a millennial. There was a time when you can actually smack him upside his head for even uttering the word. But now you got Asians secretly, quote unquote, saying it, but they're disguising it, especially in a song. A nigga name, nigga name. I don't know. I don't even know this. My daughter's heard that song before. And I had to wait a minute. Let me run that back. A nigga name. I'm like, what? They are really trying to get them. And some of these white dudes got heart. Now, if it was a Klan member, if it was a skinhead, and he said it right to my face, he's constant. I can expect that from that guy. One of my favorite movies is American History X. A devastating episode is when dude got his face smashed on the curb. That was devastating. But then he ended up in prison turning his life around. Because of who? A black man. Just changed his whole life around. Higher Learning. People need to rewatch that movie, Higher Learning. With Fudge, played by Ice Cube, Omar Epps, and Lawrence Fishburne. And the ever so great, I'm blanking on her name, the supermodel, somebody let me know what was the supermodel's name. Somebody know the supermodel's name. Once they raped him too. Yeah, anybody who was in Hollywood, either you getting raped or you getting shot in the ass. Denzel Washington, shot in the ass. Will Smith, getting raped. Tyra Banks, the lovely Tyra Banks. She had a beautiful forehead. Anyway, let's get back to the show.
You're one who knows that just and if a slight alteration, a nuance in a term, you add a comma or something on something, and it's a completely different word in multiple languages. So the word nigger and the word nigga are two completely different words. Even if we want to say nigas, which is how it's written out in the term of Ethiopian, which means king, but I'm only offer this, I only say that to say.
How are they different though?
But
with the nigga.
So we know the word nigger with the hard R is created for
dehumanization purposes.
Exactly. Dehumanization, it is at this point been classified as a racial slur.
Absolutely.
Nigga, from as we know, it was broken down. Even if it started in that space, it actually doesn't come from the word nigger. It comes from the word as, and you can go back and even listen to it from even Dr. King's speeches, is the idea of Negro, who then in the slang terminology, they start to call them Negroes.
Okay.
So it went from Negro to Negroes to nigga. It didn't go from nigger to nigga. It sounds like that's what we did.
Okay.
But if you do the history, which
I think Brother Cannon is making the excuse, as if to say everything is an acceptance when it's not. I don't particularly like that word anyway, but it has to be used because we still have a form of Negroes around these YouTube spaces. Negroes with agendas. I think you would have to use it. But overall, when it comes to good, wholesome black men and women, I would never use that term. Because I mean, if any of y'all remember, if you can look it up, even Richard Pryor distanced himself away from that word. I mean, he used it for a while, but he just straight distanced himself from even using the word nigga. What's the difference if it's disguised? It's like, you know what that word nigga means to me? It's like it's like a Ku Klux Klan member, right? You first see him with the sheet and the robe and the white robe and the blah blah blah, and he's hanging you from a tree, right? Years later, you got a guy that has the backwards hat, but has that swastika on his arm, the noose. And he's still hanging you, and he's calling you by that. He's calling you nigga with the N-I-G-G-A attached to it. So what's up, my nigga? The world may change, but the scenario stays the same. It doesn't make a difference if you use it this way or that way. It's an excuse. We should never have to use that. That's a term and endearment for an ignorant person. Just like I have a pet peeve when we call ourselves black, but that's a totally different story.
I've actually done papers on this. We went from Negroes, which we embraced, which just meant black. And it went from Negroes to then in the Southern term, we start saying Negroes.
Okay.
And then we know this.
Let's
Negroes
assume that history
Negroes
is correct.
That. Even we've heard, like I said, in Dr. King, Negroes. Instead of saying
Let's
Negroes.
assume that's correct.
And it's factual.
Stay with me.
And then we went to nigga. So there was never, that was not the same term as nigger, the dehumanizing term.
Let's assume your premise is correct.
Okay.
Do you think that our brothers on the street who call each other nigga are doing it because they understand that history? Or did they take the pejorative term that was used to disgrace their race, remix it, and use it? In other words, when our people use the NIGGA, they are borrowing the NIGGER, and they are simply modifying it for social purposes. The point that I'm making, Brother Nick, is I believe psychologically, it still carries the same stain of dishonor.
Okay. So, and then, because I don't,
in other words,
I'm just offering up.
What? Okay. Perfect scenario. What do you see out on the streets even today? You see nothing but destruction. And when white folks and they come together and they use it for the term of endearment of, you my brother, and I don't care. They make that excuse all the time. Oh, I don't care. We black and white. We all live in the same earth. We live in the same country. Go to Tanzania and say that shit. Go to Ethiopia and say that shit. Go anywhere in the country where there's at least 100% black people all around and say this. You will have your legs taken away from you, your arms, and then your mouth. You will have your tongue ripped out. Because over there in Africa, they do not play. Go to Jamaica. Go to Jamaica. Please. Go to Jamaica, white boys, and say that same shit. They'll Rastafari do not play that shit over there. I got, oh, you're a nigga. Oh, you a nigga, huh? They still worship Bob Marley on to this day. Still, Bob Marley, his mother was black and his father was white, and he still sung and preached African revolution. He was a revolutionary. I can't say or definitively say about his sons Damien and Skip and all of them. I can't definitively say because I never heard him say it. But him himself, if they caught you saying that word, you straight getting shaped and you ain't coming home. And Africa is beautiful. Jamaica has the cleanest water. I'm going on a tangent, but all I know is America gets away with way too much, and they try to sensitize you. Oh, we can't say the word nigger, but I don't want you calling me a Karen. I don't want you calling me this. I don't want you calling me that. What's worse? They are really trying to desensitize you, just like they're trying to desensitize us here on YouTube. You can't say the F word. We can't say none of it. But it hurts us most because we on social media like to tell nothing but we just Google all day long, right? And we want to know truth and facts about everything that's going on in this country, why they are being treated the way they are. Why are things going up in price? Why are things just dominated by Asians? There is a Chinatown in almost every country in the United States. I know that because I have it here in Nevada. Stop telling me, yo. I was supposed to see that movie today. You know what? I might see it tomorrow. shoot, I might just skip work to see it tomorrow. Who knows?
In other words, if we have a guest speaker.
Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. You become a member of the We-On-Loc Nation crew. I mean, this is for us. This is for us. This is a thing. We're trying to make this into a think tank. We're trying to make this into a think tank. Trying to make this into a peaceful community for all to see and all to come.
And I say, we got a nigga coming to the stage. Is anybody expecting an attorney, a Nick Cannon, an engineer, an entrepreneur, modifying it for social purposes? The point that I'm making, Brother Nick, is I believe psychologically, it still carries the same stain of dishonor.
Okay. So, and then, because I don't, I'm just offering up.
In other words, if we have a guest speaker, and I say, we got a nigga coming to the stage. Is anybody expecting an attorney, a Nick Cannon, an engineer, an entrepreneur, a surgeon, a doctor, a psychologist? When you use the word NIGGA, do you really believe that anybody, black or white, expects the person attached to that title to be something that children can look to? And if the answer is no, NIGGA is just as disgraceful as NIGGER.
I have a better one. Go to your mama and call her a nigga. Hey nigga. What? No. Call your daddy a nigga. Any volunteers? Any volunteers? No? No volunteers, chat? No, let's all, well, my father's gone, but, and my mother's gone, but those of you who have a mother and a father, let's go tonight and let's call our mother and father up on a bunch of niggas. No? Or call call an elderly that. And say, who the hell you think? And they'll take the cane, and it's like, look, you know who would be? Is Jim Brown still alive? If Jim Brown is still alive, I want you to walk up to Jim Brown and call him a nigga. My God. Go up to Rocky Johnson and call him a nigga. Rock Dwayne Johnson and call him a nigga to his face. You know how big that dude is? Steroid pumping son of a. Call him a nigga. My point is, he said, oh, yeah, he would catch a case. My point is, I passed away. All of our stars are passing away. Even Virgil. Remember Virgil from at one point in time, WWF? Brother passed away. I'm still tripping on Carl Weathers. But the one person that died young was Chadwick Boseman. I still shed a tear every time I see his movie. Like, fuck, man. Anyway, let's get back to the conversation.
I can't argue with you. But if I can add an addendum.
Sure.
The community nomenclature, the idea of we've taken something negative, embraced it, took the power out of it, and made it our own to what we originally started talking about. And that's the only reason because you said we don't have, I forgot how the term that you used to where we police our own. There's some autonomy in our in our culture.
Yes, sir.
We can say, I can say Dr. Umar is my nigga. And that means just in that term that he has the same understanding as me. He goes through the same challenges as me. He understands culturally the things that we both go through. Therefore, I embrace him in a way that I wouldn't embrace somebody else, that I would never use that term. And to your point, wouldn't even say that term in certain companies. But because there's an affinity and a compassion that I have for you, I can say that in term, like, and you know exactly what I mean.
So let me ask you a question. If we took this racially destructive term, this racial slur that has been used to dehumanize our people for 4 or 5 centuries, and we stripped it of its power and its negativity, re-embraced it as a term of endearment, if you believe that's even possible, because I don't think it is. I think the word always carries its original meaning and its intent and the energy behind it. But if you argue that it's possible to do that, why haven't European Jews taken the K word and did that? Why haven't Latinos taken the H word and did that? Why haven't Asians taken the G word?
They have.
They have not.
No, because first of all, in the same,
you ain't never.
And in the same sense, I guarantee you, there's certain terms that we're not even. There's certain terms even in the way you say it. There's certain terms in the Latino community that they call themselves. That we can't say. Even the word Jew.
That's bullshit. You ain't never, and I mean never, heard anyone from the Jewish community take the K word meaning kite, and turn it into a good thing. You ain't never heard of it. You ain't never heard of the Asian community when they call them the yellow man, the stone face. You ain't never heard of that. Never, 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 ever. And I'm saying it, but only in our community. And then, of course, here in America, you hear 2 entities say, you hear poor white trash, you hear redneck. Well, you hear redneck from us, but white trash coming from them. Yankee. It's not just nigga, Yankee, or any. Who's this? Who's speaking?
What's up, player?
What's happening, man?
Hey, man. Good review. Definitely talking on the N word. I came up because I just wanted to kind of, concur with Umar as it relates to that word and how we have, used it and how we misuse it, how we allow other people to come to the picnic and use it and things of that sort. Which I'm definitely against that. And particularly in that little sector that the sector that we come from, and I'm still in it. We've had I've always talked about non-black people using it the way it is used. The many ways in which black people use it in variety of ways, basically. In the South, there's certain things that are said in regards to that as versus the East Coast, West Coast, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And my whole position is no matter how you try to personalize the word, no matter how you try to use it as a term of endearment, the bottom line in its origin, it was used to dehumanize you. And you can't escape that. Because everybody know if there was a group of people of all races, colors, and creed, if somebody said the word nigga, everybody looking at you, they not looking at themselves. They only looking at the person that look black.
I think it needs to be a journey with some of these people that think that you can just wash depression, ignorance. You can wash all this stuff away with one stroke of the brush, and thinking everything is okay because we don't live in democracy anymore. We live in a world of information. Well, there's a reason why they're giving you their leftovers. And you wonder what is inflation. There's hardly any work for black people in terms of the trade industry. They usually work, and I'm a witness of it. Of course, they're going to have a few black people here and a few black people there, but most of their industry, especially in the carpentry industry, that won't hire nobody but their own partners because they feel that you are unworthy of that. And it's not just, and they won't admit it to your face. They won't admit it's because of the color of your skin, and they won't admit it because you might f up their brand, you might f up their work. They're not going to admit that to you. It's the same thing with this with the school industry, with the school. They are not going to admit that these kids need the same higher education as your counterparts, white folks, because they're too busy or they're too tired or they don't get paid as much. Everybody should get the same amount of treatment, the same amount of education as your counterparts. The same amount. And for you to just sugarcoat it and just sweep it under the rug, it's tiresome. I said it and I'll say it again. You are not going to have a community full of Jews making fun of other Jews with that word, that K word. You ain't never going to hear it. You're never going to hear Asians making fun of other Asians. You're not. You're just not. Only a few white folks here and there, and only in our community though. Only in our community do we ever use that word religiously.
Hey, I totally agree, and also we got to also understand part of um the particular Jewish community, part of how they came out of the poverty that they were in, because they were the recipients of the first ghettos in this country. The first ghettos were not black people were not living in ghettos. It was Jewish people living in ghettos, and um, the Jewish community made a concerted effort to get rid of certain things that they felt was hurting that community. And one of those things was getting rid of that word, that K word you're talking about, that they used to use. And they stopped using that because they were using that word amongst themselves at one time. And they had a concerted effort to quit using these words. We're going to unite. We're going to put our resources together, and we're going to support our community, and we're gonna you know spend our money with you. Excuse me. And we're going to spend our money first amongst ourselves, and before we spend money with other people. And thus that happened generation after generation. And then these people began to become people who control a lot of the industries in this country, even though they're a small percentage of the population. So there's plenty of answers to the things that we deal with, that we can look at how other people came out of certain situations. But for the Negro problem is we want to relish in the things that actually keep us in a low point. And um, I'm guilty of using the word. We all guilty of using the word. But at the same time, I also make a conscious effort to not use the word or minimize using it. And I'm damn sure I ain't gonna allow people who are not black to use the word. And there are sectors where that's the discussion. You got people coming around, running around saying stuff and saying these things, and then they want to say they sorry and all this other stuff. Then a year later they do it again, this fascination with being around people that don't look like you, as if that gives you value. And to me that's the mindset of a Negro. It's facts. You be working against your own interests. So
it's funny. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say, because I see Umar as he's going around He's doing these interviews about this, and unfortunately, some of these places are popular internet spots, but the level of questioning and interaction to me stands out that Umar would better be served with someone that's, upwards of his intellectual capacity or higher. Because you get these elementary questions, the interaction, you can tell there's some level of disconnect, although Umar is asking the questions. But we see this far too much, um, not only him, but others. Because I understand that's entertainment purposes. So I guess we have to, tolerate that.
Well, they want to ask them the question, and they want to ask specific questions that pertains to their lifestyle and everything, and I can understand that. But if you had, and I can't name not one person right now, other than if there was an interview between him and Andrew Tate, possibly, that could be a challenge for the two of them. I'm thinking estimately in my mind it could be
I'm gonna have to disagree with that. It'll be entertaining, but I don't think it's gonna be that. Andrew Tate ain't on the level of Umar Johnson. Now the debate I would like to see. I would like to see Umar debate Dr. Tia Son Johnson. That would be
never heard of her.
Oh, check him out. He's in the manosphere. Yeah, he has a PhD in black male studies. That would be a fabulous debate that I would definitely like to have.
You said he's in the manosphere.
Yes, he is.
Now, you know how I feel about the manosphere.
Of course I do. I feel the same way you do.
But if you say that he can be a challenge, then I'm gonna have to take your word on it.
Yeah, he has the academic background, despite some of his views that he's not like an extremist as far as with the red pill ideology per se, but he does have the academic background to substantiate a lot of things that he say. He's not gonna be one that saying all kinds of crazy stuff, misusing research and saying the black woman this, the black woman that. He's gonna come more from a sociological standpoint as it involves the social developmental process of black males from birth up until adulthood and manhood. So and he tackles a lot of those issues, and he speaks from a historical perspective also.
Okay.
Yeah, just
I will. I will definitely will. You got to give me some information because my memory is too damn short. I plan on doing one more interview with him pretty soon.
Okay.
And again, I want everybody and their mama to give me all the questions, and we're gonna do a Q&A either at the beginning or at the end to get you all these freaking questions out the way. And then after that, I don't want to hear shit else. I don't want to hear nothing else. It's like it's pretty much almost about that time. It's almost about that time for summertime is approaching, and I am for certain that some good things are going to happen with the brother. But you're going to get mad at me when I say this. I don't want him to open up the school. You know why? Too many ungrateful people. No, too many ungrateful people. Too many of them.
We-On-Loc. Come on now.
Can you admit, like, at least, like,
the journey that has been forged over these years, and if it ends and no school open, do you know the scrutiny that you are going to get? And not only that, me also too.
No, it's not.
Do
It's
you
not gonna.
understand that people will not let you forget? If that school doesn't open, they're going to remind you.
How long has it been?
It's 10
how long
years.
has it been?
10 years.
It's been more than 10 years, and he founded the school that's been over 4. It's been 4 years. Well, yeah, wait, 20, 21, 22, 23. It's been 4 years. Going on a whole calendar year, it's only been 4 years. If he doesn't come, if he doesn't open up the school because of some minor circumstances, because he's got all the big shit out the way, and you seen the video, and that was like 2 months ago. So there has to be some improvements. And even my friend from a week ago saying that pretty much everything is on the up and up. It's just that, again, there are too many people out there that are just so ungrateful. I'm not talking about the people who support him. I'm not talking about the people who, it's just the people that don't like him. It's just, what do you expect? What do you expect for a man who did everything mostly on his own? If people want him to stay home, stay and build the school and blah blah blah, and then I got to deal with letting out his punk ass. I'm telling you, I said this. Listen, there are cheaper ways to build and develop the school in places like Tanzania and Ghana and all these other places in Africa, and people won't be as ungrateful. I mean, come on, man. You see for what it is. How many Umar supporters do we have in the let's just say the Umar sector? How many other than you?
But that's not a good measuring stick, because most people that that follow Umar, they don't care about the YouTube stuff. I mean, when you look at like other environments and other platforms, Umar's a lot more popular on other platforms. He may not be, well, he's still popular on YouTube. He's watched, but you hear more positive things about Umar on Twitter, Instagram, and also Facebook. So, I mean, I wouldn't just go by YouTube alone, because that's where he gets the most hate. But at the same time, he's still going around and packing arenas or whatever. He's these venues. He's still drawing a lot of people, so we can't ignore that. He's still drawing people. People still paying to see him. He has a healthy support, set of people that support him and watch him and pay to listen to him, and they buy the books. So it's just not enough. It's not enough for that school to open.
It will be. It's just, people just need to just be patient. It's coming. It's so much that again one person can do, but now everything's changed. Just as he would say it, trust the process. And I completely ultimately trust the process. If I know that, again, people say it to me all the time. It doesn't matter what people say and what people think. He ultimately, during the time when he's teaching 10 students, or he's teaching younger, younger teenagers, or even he's showing that he's doing tours with people low key. It's like he's continuing the mission that Marcus Garvey started. He's continuing to teach, and people are continuously learning from him, and it's just back behind this man and just trust the process. But I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna let you go. When the school does open, what are you expecting other than the people from people from different areas and different teachers, and what are you, what are you expecting from this particular school besides the regular A classes are supposed to be going around, math, science, social studies? What are you expecting?
I'm expecting the school to operate on a minimal budget. They're going to make the most of what they have. I think that the school will not be a immediate success, but it will be it's going to be a process. It's going to be a ongoing work in progress that through time it will become successful. But I don't expect an immediate success. I expect gradual success that will occur over time. And I do think that once the school opens and people see the work, and that's when more money is going to be donated. I think people, this is all black people. They want to see something, and I think when they see it open, like even now, man, if it opened up now on a shoestring budget, people would be more willing to help this brother while he's struggling to make the school work than to until instead of waiting for it to open in itself. And I think that that's what black people are wanting. They want to see something open, operate. They want to see some work. And if he does that, there are going to be people who who wouldn't have donated. That are going to say, okay, now I finally see why he needs the money. I see, they need, better, textbooks and desk and computers, whatever that's needed. They will be more willing to invest because they see the work. We just need to see the work. That's all. And by us not seeing the work, the building is not enough. They want to see. I don't care if you got 5 teachers, you got kids of maybe 50 kids or whatever with 5 teachers and one cook and all this other stuff like that. They just want to see something in process.
Then you're going to see it. But here's what I'm tripping on. People were complaining when they said there was no work to be done in that school. You saw workers in that school.
Of course.
And then up on top of the thing everybody's complaining about, the ceiling being undone. You know who I saw on top of this on top of the ceiling? Some white man working. So what he can't win. He cannot win. It's like he can't win. It's a
Hey,
war right
listen. That's all. See, what we got to understand. I would not even be worried about the people because there are more. The people who dislike Umar is mainly social media. These are people that are not productive people in the black community. There are more people that will be open to the project and its overall goal once they see the work. I'm not worried about people who gonna constantly beat their gums and talk on YouTube all day because they're not being
now.
productive. I'm more concerned of the person who makes a decent living. That they got a little money. They got discretionary income. They want to see something change in the community. They're willing to invest, and they're going to be consistent. That's what I'm worried about. That's the person that should be catered to and talked to, not where's the HVAC and where is this and where's the license. Those people don't matter because they don't want to see success in this project. They're just people who want to do content off of the the demise of Umar, and the school itself and make fun. But in real life, they have no real relevancy in anything, and that's why they on YouTube, because they have nothing else going on. This is the highlight of where they feel they have power, and people want to listen to me, because a lot of these people in real life, people don't want to listen to you. You have nothing valuable that anybody wants to talk to you about and listen to you. But you can get on here and pretend to be whatever you want and say things and do responses and reviews, and then people, you can garner a fan base, subscribership, and people think you know what you're talking about. It's very deceptive. But that in itself speaks to YouTube. So, well, other than that, man, that's my stance on that. I'm gonna go ahead and get out your way. I know you ready to call it a day. You know, I caught you late, but I've been busy doing a lot of things. But I'll catch you the next time. Peace.
Peace out, man. It's my big brother, D. Darrell. Thank you for stopping by, man. Let's continue to, so we can get out of here.
You trust me, I know.
Okay. Okay.
There's certain ways and phrases that you say that only they can say.
Has it been normalized in their community as much as nigga has been normalized in ours?
Because we commercialized it. We made money off of nigga.
Exactly.
We making money off of nigga.
Listen to what you said a minute ago. You said they might call each other a derogatory term within culture, but you ain't going to use it. We defend people's right to call us the NIGGA.
I'm not going to do that.
but we, not you, but we do it though. You see it.
Yeah.
We defend people's right to do it.
Yeah,
I've seen YouTube videos where psychologically disturbed black folks are begging white people to use the word. I've seen battle raps where the white rappers are using the words.
Yeah, facts.
You don't see that in no other culture, Nick. So my argument is, we suffer from, going back to your mental health theme, we suffer from a post-traumatic slavery disorder that has put us in a position where we are so used to being disrespected that we don't even recognize when we disrespecting ourselves. And I think the continuous use of the N-word is an example of that pathology.
Shall we pause right there? And I'm going into our next, because I know it's heavy in the comments right now. Like, subscribe, do all you supposed to do. This is one of those conversations. But I'm gonna end this session with what I'm actually start with in the next session, because from everything that we just discussed, the black male entertainers wearing dresses, compromising integrity in other forms as black fathers and leaders,
and not being responsible as to how your symbolism impacts fatherless black boys in the community.
All the way to what we were just talking about, the use of the N-words. I've done them all. So the question would be, am I irresponsible? And if so, how can I correct it? We're going to cover that.
We have the man himself. The man himself. Dr. Umar Johnson. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Let's give a thumbs up, thumbs down if you liked it. If you hated it, go and tell a friend, go and tell a sister, and come and join the channel. And I come with the conclusion. And the conclusion would be this. Let me see if I can. The conclusion would be this. See that right there? The sun that's shining so bright. When I think about that sun, I think about our children that are growing up in the world. As that sun accumulates all that energy that's glowing in that ball, it's not just the heat. It's nothing but energy. Just imagine us using the word, the N-word, that is socially, mentally ignorant, and that son just dying down into a big ball of nothing, right? But our kids generation constantly using that word. Or if we constantly keep seeing and making any excuse, little Nas X, how we continuously make the excuse each and every single day, each and every single week, that most of the stuff that we do is entertainment. Oh, really? Putting on a dress as a man and just demoralizing your manhood. You're now making the excuses as saying that masculinity is very toxic and we should do something about it. There are two Pacific white folks, and if you, let me see if I have it. If you read this book by Brother Rizza Islam, The Message to the Millennials, you will find that there are two, and I'm going to see if I can find it real quick. You can find two white men who are nearly responsible for the toxic masculinity. And let me see. Willis. I believe I might be wrong about this, but I got to read this again. And they're not gonna. Of course, they're not gonna stop. No, of course, they're not gonna stop until we stop. You know, I have to read this book again. But this book gives a lot of information, especially about ourselves, how we use our phones, how we just constantly just use our phones in the down position when it should be an up position. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Talks about, the Patriot Act. They talk about the apps that we use every day. 9/11. Talk about the FBI. Let me see. Okay, here it is. Let me see if I can start from the beginning real fast. Let's see. Dangerous. Okay. We become usually funny. Just developing the series and exploring. Okay. I'll just read it from here. So by the time that you attempt to access your mental powers and capabilities, it isn't as strong as it was prior to using social media. As you scroll on your cellular devices, you will notice the same people who are now developing a small hump in their back because of the position they are in when they are scrolling and using their phones to scroll through social media. It is a conditioning called the walker's hump. So in other words, this is the reason why you got that lump in your neck, and your brain fluid. It has everything to do with your brain fluid using losing its mobility as you're scrolling down to your phone and wonder why you're so damn dizzy. If you look up, all that fluid and all this other stuff that's in your brain, it's supposed to stay intact with one another. And you know how they tell you real quick how when you start lifting weights and your shoulders slump, you're supposed to you get, this is the reason why you have back problems. Your shoulders are supposed to stay parallel from each other, parallel from your neck, but I have to show you next time. That conditioning people are now developing by having their head tilted forward for a ill-longing period of time while scrolling through social media and scrolling through pictures, scrolling through videos, scrolling through text messages, just scrolling through everything, scrolling, snatching up mental power while affecting the psycho body, and all of this while the world is passing you by. So you're mainly just a robot at this point. You're just mainly a robot. It's something that my father-in-law told me. It was like, the way we look at social media right now, we are AI. Just looking through social media, just scrolling through our phones every day. I want a period, and I want us to do this. I want a period of time, and I think I want to start next week. Can we fast? Can we do a fasting of no social media for a week? Can we do a fasting period of no social media for a week? I'm talking about no YouTube, no nothing for a week. Can we do that? Yeah. You ain't even, it's too ingrained in you. I haven't streamed, when I stopped streaming, I stopped streaming for more than a couple of months. You know why? Because it's so toxic now. Ain't nothing getting better, everything's getting worse. And that's why it's so peaceful over here. You can tell any and everybody that if you want peace, and I'm not pinning flowers on myself. I'm not pinning flowers on myself at all. But this is what I would want it to be. If we have 10, 20, 30, or 2 people in the chat room, and we're just having conversation, whether it be man or whether it be a woman. I would prefer to be a woman, but as much as I love to have male conversations, we cannot live very much longer without a female's perspective. With a male here and a female here, we cannot live without the female's perspective. And that, when we work together as one, that can be a very, very powerful source. A very, very powerful source. A very, very powerful source indeed. Because in my opinion, without the female, we will not survive. That's just my opinion. Take it however you want. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad that you had stuck with me. We had some technical difficulties earlier because we had the Lil Yachty and Umar situation, but YouTube took that away, even with the fair use sign. So there's just certain things I can't stream, certain things I can't stream. But when Nick Cannon comes up with another one, I will basically be on it. But until then, I appreciate you all. Like and subscribe to the channel, become a member of the We-On-Loc Nation crew, and we will definitely be seeing you again real soon. Peace.